Hello and welcome to what is now going to be part 4 of this card reveal. So we have a lot of cards to get through for right now, and we're going to have a lot more as there have been a few Japanese translated ones that I've looked at that are coming, and especially a Satan reprint that is up and coming, which we'll see probably next video. That's probably going to warrant almost half the video to itself, so that should be exciting. But kicking us off for this video, we're looking at Zealot of Unkilling, a 2-drop 2/2 bronze Forestcraft card. Last word -2/-0 to a random enemy follower. Pretty generic, nothing too crazy after all. It's just a simple last word minusing the attack, which is pretty standard for Unkilling cards, and honestly it was a little bit of a letdown with the omens, as Unkilling wasn't super crazy. There are some okay combinations you can do, but outside of that it's not the best setup. Then we have Arms Dealer, 3-drop 2/3 silver, Swordcraft Officer. Fanfare, discard a card from your hand, put a random spell or amulet from your deck into your hand. This one is a little more interesting, going with the discard mechanic that Sword seems to be getting a little bit more of, which I honestly don't mind too much. Dragon did have a lot of discarding effects, but these ones are the kind of discarding effects I always wanted to see, where it was discard something to guarantee getting something, and when you can guarantee putting a random spell or amulet into your hand, that's a fairly decent card and has a fairly decent stat line. So I think that's going to be a pretty nice tutor for random spells and amulets, although Sword doesn't run a super amount of either, so you can pretty much guarantee what you want. Then of course, Madlance Centaur, a 7-drop 5/5. Silver, it's Swordcraft Officer, sorry. Fanfare, deal 1 damage to a random enemy, do this 4 times. If this card is discarded, deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. So, while it doesn't have the best stats-wise for a 7-drop 5/5, its effect is half decent. Dealing 1 damage to a random enemy follower is okay, doing it 4 times is better. This and the discard effect is honestly probably where this card will really shine, as you can fully take advantage of any discarding effects with it. And I think even in Unlimited, this could be a pretty nuts card in something like probably PTP, so Path to Purgatory decks, so discarding hands. Something like this could be quite decent. And I wouldn't mind seeing more of these cards, and I think we're going to. So then we have Magic Dealer, a 2-drop 2/2 bronze Swordcraft Officer. We've got mostly Swordcraft to start off with. Fanfare, discard a card from your hand, draw a card. Just generic draw a card one. Not bad, because Swordcraft can always do with more draw power. Then we have Wight Knight, a 2-drop 2/2 silver Shadowcraft card. Fanfare, enhance 6. Choose summon either a Spellplate Cavalier or a Bone Cavalier. So if these cards aren't in a perfect order, as you can probably tell right now, I don't know where I've ended up putting the Spellplate Cavalier or Bone Cavalier, because I don't think they're existing cards, so we'll just skim through these real quick. Maybe I didn't actually add them to this, unfortunately. So we'll be back in, but we'll be for you just 1 second. So after taking a quick look, yeah, it does turn out they are actually just pretty standard tokens that we've already had, or not so much tokens, just followers. So Spellplate Cavalier and Bone Cavalier are just pretty generic cards. One is a ward with 3/3 stat line for 4, and the other one is a, I believe, 4-drop as well, a 2/4 and with Drain. So they're not bad for a 2-drop. That's pretty decent, I think, looking at it. So not the worst possible option. Then we do have a Geovore, a 4-drop, a 2/5 bronze card for Dragoncraft. It is a ward. Its evolve is if Overflow is active for you, gain +3. So that's actually pretty good. So adding in the fact that it's already gaining full Evo stats, so gaining the +2/+2, getting another +3 onto the attack, so a total of +5, giving you a total of a 7/7 for 4. On turn 4 could be pretty nuts. I mean, that's assuming you, of course, are ramping consistently. If you aren't ramping, of course, this card is a little bit worse, but as far as a bronze goes, I think it's fairly good, especially even as a generic without the evolve effect. It's still a 4/7 ward on turn 4, so not a bad bronze overall. Then Slumbering Calamity, 3-drop 2/3, so not a bad stat line for a legendary rune card. It does have Ward, Fanfare, Earthright, +2 attack, and Fanfare enhance 8, deal X damage to all enemies, X equals this follower's attack. So at minimum you're going to get 2 attack, at pretty much maximum you're going to get 5 attack, which honestly, not 5 attack. You're going to get 4 attack, which is pretty okay if you go Earthright into it on Enhance 8. Otherwise, it is just a very generic 3-drop 2/3 ward, which for a legendary is not that good. Although with Earthright, I suppose it does become a 3-drop 4/3, which, again, not my favorite kind of stat line. I would have preferred it got 1 health instead, so it would be a +1/+1 would have been nicer, but still pretty decent, and can't be too unhappy with it as a legendary. Then we have Predatory Midnight, a 2-drop silver spell card for Forestcraft. Randomly deal 5 damage to one of the weakest enemy followers in play. So this isn't too bad. While it says randomly, you could pretty easily use this as a single target removal early in the game, or set it up to do so. Considering it is deal 5 damage to one of the weakest enemies followers in play, you can also kind of set up its target pretty easily. You're going to know what it's going to hit pretty much 100% of the time, so that is no surprise, unless for some reason it suddenly changes target once you drop health down so much that another card is classed as weakest, but I doubt that is how it will function, and it will probably just kill whatever is the weakest. So definitely not a bad spell, and 2-drop 5 damage as a spell is really good. Then we have Chris Pumpkinhead. That one actually kind of caught me off guard. Chris Pumpkinhead, 3-drop 3/3 silver Shadowcraft card. Artwork's pretty nice. I got to give them credit for some of their art. It's always a nice thing to see. But the name Chris, I can't wait to see streamers going, yeah, just got to play a little bit of Chris onto the board. But anyway, it is a last word. If this is your turn, summon a ghost. So that's not honestly the worst situation to be in, and it's not a bad one when it comes to proccing things, and it's got a fairly good stat line for that. So I'm looking forward to using this in some form of shadow deck that can either trade really well, or that you're going to be self-sacrificing something like Chris Pumpkinhead pretty consistently. Then we have Angel of the Iron Steed, a 3-drop 3/3 silver. It is a Portalcraft follower, fanfare. Put an analyzing artifact and an ancient artifact into your deck. Really good, quite like this card. Being able to effectively curve out is important, and as far as artifacts go, putting them into your deck is always an advantage to have. A lot of people don't like doing it until they have does in hand, but me personally, I'd rather just flood my deck with artifacts and work from there, and this does that pretty much perfectly. So you could easily line up, say, a Lion on 2, this on 3, into Icarus plus something else, or just a lot of good 3-drop options. Of course, it does contest with your drawing an artifact from the deck 3-drop, but I think you can nearly sacrifice that for this card. Then we have Lila, Arborist. It's a 1-drop 1/1 bronze forest card. Fanfare, give +1/+1 to an allied follower with at least 4 attack, and enhance 4, give +1/+1 to all other followers instead. So this follows a similar vein to not Leafman, more like a elf song but with a body, I guess. You don't really need the generic fanfare. The enhance is going to be more important. Elf Song, usually you would be playing multiple cards to get it out. Of course, you need to play something. If you can't get 0 cost, you're playing 1-drops, and would usually add up to, say, a 4 cost. So this with a body is actually not a bad card at all as far as bronze cards go. Then we have Righteous Dragoon, a 3-drop 2/3 bronze card for Dragoncraft. Fanfare, choose, put either a Dragon Wings or Dragon's Handspur into your hand. So we have seen both those cards. If you want to check them out, you can have a hand over to Bahamut. They have a heap of card list, or you could just Google those cards yourself. They are not too bad, and for a bronze card, I think this is actually going to be a fairly decent choose option, although it does contest some other Dragon cards, so hopefully it won't be too bad in the future at least. Then we have Reina Evolutionist Herald, so this is a 7-drop 6/6 silver neutral card. Fanfare, give another unevolved allied follower the ability to evolve for 0 evolution points, so very high cost silver, but giving a free evo basically to whatever you want isn't actually too bad. I still don't think it's the best card because it is that high cost. If it was a 6-drop 5/5, I feel like it would have had a bit more utility than a 7-drop 6/6, but that is just in my personal opinion. So overall, I would just give this card a kind of middle range, kind of a meh card overall. Then we have Dyne Master Swordsman. So it's a 5-drop, a 3/5 legendary for Portalcraft. Rush, fanfare, deal 1 damage to all enemies. If the total cost of allied artifact cards destroyed during this match is at least 20, deal 5 damage instead. And of course, Rush is actually fairly decent, especially on a follower that has a higher health total than it does attack total, so that is actually going to be quite nice. The deal 1 damage to all enemies is still pretty decent, and dealing 5 when you've got that is actually another way to do a decent board clear. And considering it is fanfare, not an enhance effect, it does mean this makes for a very, very solid 5-drop for artifacts, and does give them another potential decent clear. We've seen them getting a lot of banishment, and now we're seeing some decent clear cards, so definitely not bad overall. Whether it will see play though will depend on what kind of decks come out of it in the next meta, but as far as this card goes as an individual card, it's quite nice, as 20 is very easy to hit when it comes to artifacts. You don't need to kill 20 artifacts, you just need their costs to equal that. So about 4 or 5 drops will easily hit that number. Then we have Relinquish Reason, a 3-drop gold card for Bloodcraft. Give +2 to all Bloodcraft followers in your hand. Then if Vengeance is active for you, give +2 to all Bloodcraft followers in your deck. This card, guys, this card could be potentially one of the most broken things in Unlimited. Like, full stop. The Vengeance deck, you could build in Unlimited and run this card and then boost the attack of every follower in your deck. Could be insane. I'm really looking forward to giving this card a really good go, and I hope that it doesn't end up just being a completely dead draw overall. Then we have Godsent Stride, a 2-drop bronze card for Swordcraft. Give +0, +1, Rush, and Bane to an allied follower. So another really good spell Swordcraft is getting this one. So +1 health, already will pull a lot of things out of range. 2 drops, of course, will be the key target for this card, I reckon, as they will be fairly decent and easy to pull off. As a turn 4 2-drop, playing a 2-drop and playing this card, giving Rush, Bane, and the extra health will easily take out bigger followers, smaller followers, and pretty much any followers as far as this card's concerned. Then we have Zebet, Lady of the Flies. So, it is a 4-drop 4/4. It is a Shadowcraft legendary, of course, which should be expected. I mean, we have Lord of Flies and now Lady of Flies. This card is, for memory, in Rage of Bahamut, I believe. In the Jap version, listed as Beelzebub, and Lord of Flies is listed as his servant, so interesting fact. But it is a Fanfare Enhanced 7, randomly summon one of the following: Vicious Beetle, Vigilant Hornet, Vicious Scorpion, Vengeful Mantis, and Veiled Shutterfly. Enhanced 10, summon 2 more, and the Evo is actually the same, so you can potentially get 2 just by Evoing this card, or get 1 by just Evoing it straight up. Not bad at all. So Vengeful Mantis is a 4-drop 4/4. Whenever another allied follower is destroyed, gain +1/+0. Veiled Shutterfly, a 4-drop 4/3 ambush. And I think they're the only 2 that we get that are actually new. Vengeful Mantis and Veiled Shutterfly. I think the other 3 have already been used for Lord of Flies. So if you want to check those out, go ahead and check out Lord of Flies card. It'll tell you exactly what those are. Then we have Centaur Shaman, a 5-drop 4/5 silver runecraft card. Fanfare, Earthright, gain +1 and Rush. Honestly, very generic silver. Not that impressed by this one, but it's nice that we're seeing more Earthright support, so I don't mind that too much. Then we have Manifest Malice, a 2-drop bronze card for Shadowcraft. Being a spell isn't too bad. Deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. Summon a ghost. Pretty decent, honestly. Potentially picking up 2 clears very easily. If not, you're picking up a clear and 1 damage to face for the cost of a 2-drop spell. I feel like they're really not so much power creeping the 2-drop spells, but definitely increasing their power level. So they're definitely getting up there. If they end up doing 1 more kind of 2-drop spell boost in, say, another year, we could be looking at the potential for all older 2-drop spells that dealt damage to really get completely swamped. But I suppose this still does fall in line with the 2-drop deal 3 damage mechanic, as this does total 3 damage if you break it all down. Then we have Slash of the One, a 5-drop gold neutral card. Whenever an allied follower evolves, if only 1 allied follower is in play, change the cost of this card to 3 to destroy an enemy follower or amulet. This card, right here, will be the literal death of something like Tenko Haven, for example, which a little disappointing. I quite enjoyed Tenko Haven, but considering how much people were already teching against it a lot of the time, and just in general using cards like Seraphic Blade, this one is a lot cheaper as far as things go for the most part, and can remove pretty much anything. So going to be pretty nuts having to deal with this card in particular. I really hope we can get some like amulet protection, stop them from being banished or destroyed or something. That would be nice. But this card just really is going to be a very powerful one, especially in like Omen of the One decks, where you really only want 1 thing on board anyway. Then we have Diabolus Agito, so we got a 5-drop 4/2 legendary Bloodcraft card. Rush, gain +0, +X. X equals the number of times your leader was damaged during your turn in this match. Can't be destroyed by spells and effects. Can be destroyed by damage from spells and effects. So it's just straight up targeted, like removal basically, that can't destroy this, or just straight up effects that would destroy, can't destroy this, but damage can. So it's not as good as just being immune to all damage. Then, of course, it's the same sort of effects for the Evolve, which isn't too crazy. And the plus health isn't bad, but definitely a more control-y orientated card. I wouldn't mind it if we do see a Control Bloodsword deck come up, but as far as Dark Feast being in the meta, I just don't see this card replacing that at all. Maybe as a partner alongside it. I mean, this on 5 might not be the worst option, but you feel like there's probably a lot better plays to play on 5 in something like Dark Feast Bat. So I would definitely put this in a more control-orientated blood deck, which probably isn't going to be hitting yourself anyway. Then, of course, we have Pactbound Demon, the 6-drop 5/5 silver Broadcraft card. Fanfare, draw 3 cards, last word, deal 3 damage to your leader. Very easy, very simple, very generic. The card draw for this is actually fairly decent, considering it's attached to a body. 6 drops are usually quite high, but again, if we go to a slower kind of blood deck, this has a lot of potential and could work out, and could be quite a nice card to use. Then we have Emferelda, Sword Angel, a 2-drop 3/1 gold follower for neutral. Fanfare, if there are no other allied followers in play, gain Rush. Evolve, if there are no other allied followers in play, gain +2/+2. So working similar to the Omen mechanics, going with just a single drop card when there's nothing on board, gaining both Rush and being able to get the Evo +2/+2 could give you a pretty insane card. For a 2-drop, you could easily evolve this. So 2-drop, evolve, only card on your board, boost this thing right up to a 7-drop. A 7 attack, 5 health follower, pretty nuts, and then drop a 2-drop right beside it. Could be insane. Then we have Death's Mistress, an 8-drop 6/6 silver card for Shadowcraft. Excel 2, draw a card, Burial Rite, draw 2 cards instead, and it has Ambush, so not bad. The Excel is probably where this card would really shine, but having the Ambush on top of it means if you do get pulled into the late game, you could potentially set this card up and use it to swing for the game, which isn't a bad option. And that does complete this video. That is every card so far officially revealed on the Shadowverse Twitter. There of course have been other cards revealed from other sources, but usually the Twitter will post those eventually, and that's when I prefer to cover them for videos, as it's just much easier. If you're interested in seeing cards before I cover them, be sure to check out the Twitter in the link in the description below. It does a great job of covering all the cards and having all the translations, which is good. So hope you guys enjoy it. Until next time, see ya.